Hello and welcome to my video today. I'm continuing my series of videos on waterproofing the Fisker Ocean. In previous videos, I've done the front and rear bumper area, as well as inside the front right wheel well area. There's a number of different connectors to do. The VSP, as well as the windshield wiper fluid tank. And what we're going to be doing today is showing you how to block water that is draining down the windshield cowl area and going forward. Normally, the water should go down the drains and out the rear of the wheel well area. However, if it's very heavy water or rain that's coming through there, it may go forward on the frame and then drip down into this area in the front, which is not good. So what we're going to be doing is using some pool noodles wrapped in HVAC foil tape, and I'm going to install them on the frame roughly around here on the left and right sides of the car. And what these are is they are soft enough but waterproof with the foil on them that they will block the water from going down the frame to the front, and the water will then go out the back as it's supposed to. So basically this is fixing a design flaw in this area of the car for the water drainage. Now you could possibly install these by opening the hood and reaching in and putting them in this area right here, or you can open up the wheel well area and do that. So in today's video, since I happen to have this open for another video, I'm going to take out the liner here and give you a good view of the installation. And you can decide which is better in your situation, if you want to take the wheel off and install it from this direction or do it from inside the hood. That's up to you. So I'm going to show you the best I can with that, and let's get started. And here you can see the pool noodles on the hood, roughly the same size as the ones I did several months ago for that video to protect your head from the hood brackets. This is what we're going to be making today. This is a pool noodle with some aluminum ducting foil tape that's wrapped around the edges and also the inside, and it's sealed so it is weatherproof. This is about 6 inches long, and you probably only need about 5 or 6 inches, which is about 13 to 15 centimeters. The normal pool noodle looks like this, and I'm going to be making mine to look just like Eric's in his video. So what he did is there's a cut in here so that we can get to the inside. So I am going to cut it open with some scissors. And then I'm going to cut right next to it about this far apart so that we can get to the center. And then we can remove that part. So now we have a gap in there. Really doesn't have to be that pretty. I'm going to even this out a little bit. Really doesn't make that much of a difference. Here's the foil tape that I'm going to be using. It comes in, this one happens to be 2 inches by 65 feet. So I already did the other one, so I'm going to be doing the same with this one. So you just cut out sections of the tape, and then you can apply it to the pool noodle. I'm going to do the inside and work my way out. Just kind of gonna go over the edge here and then smooth it out. And just kind of wrap it around the edge. There's several ways of doing this. I'm not going to be too picky in how I do this. And the last one goes in the center. So it takes about 3 pieces to do the inside. Just smooth everything out. The goal is, since this is water permeable, we want to make it waterproof while still giving the flexibility in going around the corners and blocking the area that we want to do in the car. So I'm going to fold this around. Doesn't have to look pretty. Just make sure all the seams are closed. And now I can work on the outside. So I'm going to make them cut slightly longer than this. So overlap the edge. All right, and the last one goes right here, overlapping those. Just wrap it around the edges and then just seal all the seams. Just press them down firmly. And as I mentioned, the goal of this is to make a waterproof yet malleable blocker. So yes, so now we got both of these. We got one for the left and one for the right side of the car. So if you've seen my previous videos of how to access the connectors in the front right wheel well, do the same thing is in that video. I'll have the video right over here if you want to watch that. I'm not going to repeat it, but basically you take off the wheel and then there's a number of clips and screws holding in the liner, and they are removed to access this. And then this area here, I'm going to be removing all of the other screws and clips so I can pull this down and we'll have a better view of inside the fender area. By the way, there's 10mm nut here and a 8mm bolt here and a clip right in this area. Let's see if we can access it better by pulling it down. I'm going to try to give you a view of where we're going to be putting the blocker, and it's going to be in this area up here. Just going to kind of get in there, and you can see the top of the railing. So here we're looking up into the fender area. Where we're going to be going is this area right here. This part of the frame goes along here and ends right around here. And as you can tell from the intro, the water is coming and flowing along here where it shouldn't be. It should be flowing this way into the drain. So what we're doing is, I put the pool noodle up there. You can just see the edge of it, and that is roughly where it's going to go. It's just in front of the cowl plastic area, and you can get fairly close to that. And what we're going to do is tape it on both sides onto the frame so that any of the water will flow backwards and the tape will keep it in place. And I put it in from the under hood area. I got a better look at it. It is not easy either way. Honestly, the easiest way to do this is if you removed the fender, you would have great visibility on placing it. However, removing the fender is not for the faint of heart. I would have to remove a whole bunch of stuff here, and I would have to remove fender on both sides, as well as the bumper, if I'm not mistaken. So it is quite involved to do that, and I'm trying to avoid that if all possible. So what I did is I placed it in by feel, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the tape. So let me get this up here, see if I can get a better view. It is super hard to get that. I hope that gives you a good idea of where it's located. And here I'm going to give a view from the top. Got to make sure that you press it all the way down so it forms along that frame, so there's no gaps in it, and you want to have it go as close to the edge as possible. So you can see the length of the pool noodle is just about right for this application. And what I'm going to be doing is applying strips of tape on both sides of the pool noodle so that it attaches to the frame. All right, so this is super difficult to do because you can't see what you're doing. You have to do it entirely by feel. And there's just enough room to get my arm on this side of the opening and on this side of the opening to get there. It is very easy to cramp your arms due to the angle. So be careful doing this. So when you're putting the foil on here, you're going to do about 3 layers on each side of the pool noodle, from the frame all the way up to the pool noodle. And in between each of these layers, press down along the foil so that it makes a tight seal. And as you can see, the suspension right here, if I reach up in this area, the front of the pool noodle is right where my fingers are, and the back of the pool noodle is right around here. So that gives you an idea of where this goes on the frame. So just about in this area from here to here. So wherever you installed the foil tape, make sure you go over it with your fingers and smooth it out. I suggest at least 3 overlapping layers like I did to make sure that it is in position and that no water will get through it. The side facing the front of the car is not as important as the side that is near the windshield. And here I'm going to get a view of the rear side. So the right side of the car is now done. Time to work on the left side. I need to raise the car up, remove the wheel, and then access the inside wheel liner. With the hood open, I'm going to be showing you where we're going to be installing the blocker. You should see the frame rail should mirror the one that was on the right side. Here we have the charge port, so it gives you an idea of where we are. Right inside that wheel well liner area is a connector that goes to the charge port. I recommend putting some silicone wrapping and wire loom around this to make it watertight. Whenever I open up the car and find connectors, I check them out and clean them if necessary, and then waterproof them. It's probably not a bad idea when you're doing this. What makes this side of the car more difficult to put the blocker in is that there's all the wiring on this side for the charge port, and it makes it hard to get your hands in here to put in that blocking foam. So I'm going to try my best to install it in this area. I may have to do most of it from inside the hood. I'll let you know when I'm done. Since this area is super tight, like the other side, I can't really get a camera in there with enough light to do any good video. So I apologize for not showing exactly what I'm doing. So it's just easier to show you the before and after when I work on the blocker here. Okay, so here's the connector. I am going to pull out the red button here. And then I am going to push down on this black part and then separate the connector. There we go. So it is looking nice and clean. I don't see any issues with moisture in here. So I am going to reconnect it and wrap this whole thing from here to here in the silicone tape. All right, so it is now wrapped up. I'm going to put it back into position right here. I'm going to slip a zip tie back here so it will attach back into its original position. All right, so it should be good to go. One less connector to worry about. Okay, so I have installed the blocker and you can see it right there. Make sure you put down the foil tape in overlapping sections. And then I got the front part here done pretty well. The other side is much harder to reach, and I had to take my time doing those to get the foil tape so that it would overlap and cover all of the front of the wrapped pool noodle. Can't really give you a good view of the front of it, but there is about as much as I can fit the camera in there. It won't go any further. That should give you a good idea of where it should be located. It roughly matches where the other one was. And like I said earlier, if you could remove the fenders, it would make this a lot easier. But that is not something I want to tackle at this point. Okay, I'm done with the project. I installed the blockers for the frame channel on the right side and the left side of the car using the pool noodles that were wrapped in foil tape. I found that on the right side of the car, you could go through the hood or through the wheel well area. In fact, I found it useful to do both because I could get the front of it through the top in the hood area and the rear of it I could get through the wheel well. So I was able to reach on both sides and get that done. However, on the left side, there's some complications because of the wiring of the charge port. There are wires in that area and the charge port itself. I can't reach up there and install any of the foil tape on the blocker. So I found I had to do everything from inside the hood, and it was a bit more work than the right side because I had to do it just by touch, and I'm fine with the results. I'm not as happy as I was on the right side. As I mentioned previously a few times, if you remove both of the fenders, which would also require removing the bumper, you could do a much better installation of the blockers in the channels. Just FYI, if you're feeling extra industrious, you could do that. Another benefit of raising the car up on the left side is I noticed that there is a connector by the charge port. Every time I see a connector in this car, I tend to check it out, and if it's good, I'll wrap it in silicone and then wire loom just for extra peace of mind. I am maybe a little bit paranoid about water intrusion, but from other people's experiences, if you wait too long, you may have some issues. I haven't heard of any issues with this one, but I figured I might as well take care of it when I have this lifted up. So it's up to you if you want to deal with that connector. Otherwise, not too bad of a project. I've been waiting several months to do this because I was looking at alternative ways of blocking that frame channel. This still seems to be the best solution that I can find. And thanks very much to Eric on the FOA group who has investigated and did this project on his car several months ago. So if you're interested, here's a link for his channel. He has some videos on waterproofing in the hood area, so check that out. And as a preview of videos to come, I'm also going to be working on weatherproofing the hood and the cowl area by the windshield. That could be all done through just the hood being open, so much easier project to do. So stay tuned for that in the next coming weeks. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.